Amanda was 36 years old when she finally admitted that her upbringing had stolen something essential from her. Sitting in a coffee shop in Denver's Capitol Hill neighborhood, watching snow begin to fall on the early November afternoon, she stared at the business card in her hand. Beto Alves, sexologist, specializing in sexual energy and somatic healing. Growing up in a strict evangelical household in the Bible Belt, Amanda had been taught that her body was dangerous, that sexual feelings were sinful, that purity was her highest value. She'd absorbed messages that sex was dirty, shameful, something to be endured in marriage for procreation, never enjoyed. Even thoughts about sexuality were considered sinful. At 21, she'd married David, a man from her church community. The marriage lasted 8 years. 8 years of mechanical, joyless intimacy that left her feeling broken and wrong. David had internalized the same toxic messages, and their rare encounters were characterized by guilt and dysfunction. After the divorce 3 years ago, Amanda had tried dating. She'd even attempted casual intimacy, hoping that freedom from religious constraints would unlock something. But her body remained frozen. Arousal felt terrifying, rather than pleasurable. She couldn't relax enough to experience anything resembling desire. Her nervous system seemed hardwired to associate sexuality with shame. "I want to feel normal," she whispered to the falling snow. "I want to know what it's like to experience pleasure without guilt." The decision to seek help came through an unexpected source. At a trauma-informed yoga class she'd started attending, the instructor mentioned a specialist who worked specifically with religious trauma and sexual healing. "Many people carry wounds from purity culture," the instructor had said during a workshop on embodiment. "Sexologist Beto understands how religious conditioning lives in the body. He's helped several people in our community reclaim their sexuality." Now, 2 weeks later, Amanda climbed the stairs of a renovated Victorian house in the Highlands neighborhood. Sexologist Beto's practice occupied the second floor, with large windows overlooking the Rocky Mountains. Beto greeted her with a warm but professional demeanor. At 35, he had a presence that balanced compassion with expertise. The space was thoughtfully designed, soft lighting, comfortable seating, plants throughout, and notably, no religious imagery of any kind. Something Amanda appreciated more than she could express. "Amanda, welcome," he said, gesturing to a comfortable chair. "Before we begin, I want you to know this is a completely judgment-free space. There's no right or wrong way to feel, no timeline for healing, and absolutely no shame." Those last words, "no shame," nearly undid her. Amanda had been swimming in shame for so long she'd forgotten what it felt like to breathe without it. She told him everything, about the purity culture, the teaching that her body existed to tempt men into sin, the messages that sexual desire made her dirty, the wedding night trauma of being expected to suddenly switch off years of conditioning and perform enthusiastically. "I feel broken," she said, tears streaming. "Like I'm fundamentally incapable of experiencing what other people experience. Like that part of me was so damaged by religion that it can't be repaired." Beto listened with deep attention, his expression compassionate but not pitying. "Amanda, you're not broken," he said firmly but gently. "You've been profoundly conditioned, neurologically, psychologically, somatically, to associate your sexuality with danger and shame. That's not damage. That's programming, and programming can be rewritten." He explained his approach. They would work on deconstructing harmful beliefs, healing the nervous system, reconnecting her with her body through somatic practices, and eventually, if she felt ready, exploring tantric techniques he called intimate alchemy to help her reclaim sexual energy as something sacred and her own. "Religion taught you that your sexuality was shameful," Beto said. "We're going to help your body learn a different truth, that your sexuality is natural, healthy, and wholly yours. The revelation of permission." The first several sessions focused entirely on cognitive work and breath work. No physical touch, no discussion of sexual practices, just gentle excavation of the beliefs embedded in her psyche. "Let's identify the messages," Beto guided. What did you learn about bodies? About desire? About pleasure? Amanda listed them, each one painful to speak aloud. My body is a stumbling block to men. Sexual thoughts are sin. Good women don't desire sex. Pleasure is selfish. My sexuality belongs to my husband, not to me. Now, Beto said gently, I want you to consider who benefited from you believing these things. Amanda paused. The question had never occurred to her. Who had power when you believed your body was dangerous and needed to be controlled? The realization hit like a physical blow. The church, men in the church, the entire patriarchal system. Exactly. These messages weren't about protecting you or honoring God. They were about control, about keeping women, particularly their sexuality, manageable and subdued. That session, Amanda cried for an hour, not just sad tears, but angry ones, grieving tears for the young woman who'd been taught to fear her own body. Furious tears at the system that had stolen years of potential pleasure, connection, and self-knowledge. But beneath the grief and anger, something else emerged. Permission. For the first time in her life, someone was giving her permission to question everything she'd been taught. Beto introduced breathwork to help regulate her nervous system. Religious trauma often keeps your system in a state of hypervigilance, he explained. Your body is constantly monitoring for sin, for shame, for danger. We need to teach it that it's safe to simply exist, to feel, to experience sensation without moral judgment. Amanda learned diaphragmatic breathing, vagal toning exercises, and breathing patterns designed to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the state of safety and social connection. At first, even focusing on her body during breathing felt uncomfortable, contaminated by years of being taught to ignore bodily sensations as temptations. But gradually, with practice, she began to notice something remarkable. Her body could feel neutral. Not shameful, not sinful. Just a body, breathing. The action that changed everything. In the 10th session, Beto introduced somatic awareness exercises. I want you to do a body scan, he guided. Starting with your feet, just notice sensations. Not judging them as good or bad, pure or impure, just noticing. Amanda closed her eyes and tried. She felt her feet, neutral. Her calves, fine. Her thighs, slight discomfort. Her pelvic area, immediate tension and shame. I can't, she said, opening her eyes. When I bring attention there, I just feel dirty. That's the conditioning speaking, Beto said gently. What if we tried something different? What if we approached that area of your body not as sexual, but simply as part of your anatomy? Like acknowledging your stomach or your shoulder. He had her place her hand on her lower abdomen. This is your sacral region. It houses your reproductive organs, your bladder, parts of your digestive system. It's also an energy center. In tantric tradition, it's associated with creativity, emotions, and yes, sexuality. But it's just a part of your body. It doesn't have moral value. It simply exists. Amanda kept her hand there, breathing, and slowly, something shifted. The area under her hand was just flesh, organs, part of her physical being, not a source of sin, not a temptation, not shameful, just hers. Tears came again, but different this time. I've spent my entire life at war with this part of my body, she whispered. What would it be like to just be neutral about it? To not hate it or fear it? That's where we're heading, Beto said. First neutrality, then eventually appreciation, and finally, if you choose, celebration. That night, Amanda did something revolutionary. She looked at her naked body in the mirror without immediately categorizing it as shameful. She simply looked, observed, acknowledged. It was terrifying. It was liberating. The path to reclaiming. The subsequent sessions explored movement and pleasure that had nothing to do with sexuality. Purity culture taught you that pleasure itself was suspect, Beto explained. Let's reconnect you with non-sexual pleasure first. He had her practice savoring chocolate mindfully, feeling warm water on her skin in the shower, noticing pleasant sensations like soft fabric or sunshine. This seemed simple, but for Amanda, who'd been taught that focusing on pleasant sensations was indulgent and selfish, it was radical. Pleasure is your birthright, Beto reminded her repeatedly. It's not earned through purity or performance. It's simply part of being human. They also worked on reclaiming her voice and agency. In purity culture, women are often taught to submit, to go along, to prioritize others' comfort over their own needs, Beto said. We're going to practice you saying no and meaning it, saying yes and meaning it, and distinguishing between the two. They practiced with simple scenarios. Do you want tea? Amanda learned to check in with her actual desire rather than automatically saying yes to please him. It sounds trivial, but for someone who'd spent decades overriding her own preferences, it was foundational. In the 18th session, Beto asked, "How are you feeling about the possibility of exploring sexual energy in a therapeutic context?" Amanda's immediate response was fear, but underneath, there was also curiosity. "I'm scared, but I think I'm ready to try. I don't want fear to run my life anymore." Beto explained intimate alchemy carefully. It was a tantric practice focused on awakening and circulating sexual energy, reframing it not as shameful, but as a powerful life force. It would involve conscious touch, breathwork, and energy cultivation, all within boundaries she would establish and could modify at any time. This isn't about performance or achieving arousal or orgasm, he emphasized. It's about you experiencing your sexual energy in a safe, sacred, non-shaming context, about reclaiming it as yours. The alchemy. Amanda spent 2 weeks preparing mentally and emotionally. She journaled, talked with her therapist, and finally felt ready. The session space was prepared with care. Candles, soft music, the scent of lavender. Beto had her create explicit boundaries beforehand. What areas could be touched, only over clothing. What words were off limits, anything from purity culture language. What her safe word would be. "Your intention for this work?" he asked. "To experience my sexual energy without shame," Amanda said, voice shaking but clear. "To know that this part of me isn't dirty or sinful. To reclaim what was taken from me." She lay on a comfortable massage table, fully clothed, as Beto guided her through extensive breathwork to ground and center. Her heart was racing, old programming screaming that this was wrong, dangerous, shameful. "Notice the fear," Beto's calm voice guided. "Acknowledge it, but don't let it make decisions for you. You are safe. You are in control. This is your choice." Amanda breathed through the fear and chose to continue. Beto began working on her feet, using acupressure points, his touch clinical and respectful. "I'm awakening energy pathways," he explained. "Energy that has nothing to do with morality and everything to do with life force." As he worked up her legs, always over clothing, always with clear communication, Amanda felt her nervous system slowly beginning to settle. This wasn't the violating, shaming experience purity culture had conditioned her to expect. This was therapeutic, respectful, safe. When he placed a hand on her lower abdomen, the same area she'd learned to acknowledge weeks earlier, she felt fear spike again. But she breathed, remembered her intention, and allowed it. "We're going to activate energy here," Beto said. "This is your sacral chakra, your creative center, your pleasure center, your life force center. There's nothing shameful about it. It's as sacred as your heart or your mind." Amanda focused on breathing, on the warmth of his hand through her clothing. And gradually, she felt something extraordinary. Warmth spreading, then a subtle pulsation, then something that felt almost like aliveness. Not sexual arousal necessarily, but a sense of that part of her body being awake and present. Tears streamed down her face. "What are you feeling?" Beto asked gently. "I feel alive there," she whispered in wonder. "For the first time in my life, I feel alive in that part of my body without shame, without fear. Just alive." Beto guided her through circulating the energy, using breath and intention to move it up her spine, through her heart, to her crown. The tantric practice of transmuting sexual energy into full-body vitality. Sexual energy isn't base or dirty, he taught. It's one of the most powerful creative forces we have. When elevated and honored, it becomes fuel for joy, creativity, passion for life. By the end of the session, Amanda was trembling. Not from fear, but from the profundity of experiencing her body without the overlay of shame for the first time in 36 years. The transformation. In the months that followed, Amanda continued practicing what she'd learned. Slowly, her relationship with her sexuality transformed. She began exploring self-pleasure, something that had been absolutely forbidden in her upbringing. At first, it felt terrifying and wrong. But she persisted, each time reminding herself, "This is my body. This is natural. There is no shame here." She also started dating someone new. Marcus, a kind man who respected her journey and her pace. When they eventually became intimate, it was revolutionary. Amanda could be present, could communicate what she wanted, could experience pleasure without the crushing weight of shame. The first time she experienced orgasm without guilt, just pure pleasure and connection, she cried in Marcus's arms. That was sacred, she told him. Not in a religious way, but truly sacred. Epilogue. A year later, Amanda sat in the same Capitol Hill coffee shop, watching snow fall again. But everything had changed. She had reclaimed her sexuality from religious trauma. She'd learned that her body wasn't shameful, that desire wasn't sin, that pleasure was her birthright. The work with sexologist Beto had ended, but the freedom continued. Amanda had reconnected not just with sexuality, but with her full self. The creative, passionate, embodied woman purity culture had tried to suppress. Opening her journal, she wrote, "I reclaimed my sexuality after religious trauma. I learned that everything they taught me about my body was a lie designed to control me. I learned that sexual energy is sacred life force, not shameful sin. I learned that I am not dirty, broken, or wrong. I am whole, natural, and free. I learned that my sexuality belongs to me, not to any church, any man, any doctrine. Mine. And that liberation, that's truly divine." She closed her journal and smiled at the snow, feeling the fullness of being embodied, sexual, and free. Inside her, energy pulsed, reclaimed, sacred, wholly hers. Amanda had reclaimed her sexuality, and in doing so, she had reclaimed herself.